The FBI specifically requested surveillance footage from 3 dates: January 11th, January 24th, and February 1st. When I went and looked at what those dates mean on a spiritual calendar, well, was I blown away. Specifically, a Wiccan calendar. And we have to talk about this today because every single date, all 3 dates, falls on a Wiccan or pagan observance. And no, I'm not kidding. There's a lot of bad information out there right now about what the things that are Wiccan traditions, what they are and what they aren't. So I'm going to keep it real with you. And we're going to go into the research that shows us exactly what those dates mean. And then I'm going to ask Spirit, God, the Divine, to show me what I need to know about this case that I have yet to do or see in a remote viewing. So I, like you, have no idea in this remote viewing today what I'm going to find, but we know we need to find Nancy, and she deserves better than a myth. So let's get at it. Oh, and before that, remember Sheriff Nanos, when I did the remote viewing of Sheriff Nanos, and I saw him conducting an interview of the A&T team, and he recorded it and kept it silent? Well, I said to you, I saw little tapes. Y'all, I figured out I know exactly what he's hiding from the FBI. So let's get at it right now. This video is sponsored by Psychic Source. And as most of you know, I'm a psychic medium. This is not a hobby for me. This is generally how I move through the world every day. And it's how I do this work on Nancy Guthrie and on every case I bring to you. I've actually worked for another company in this space before, so I know this industry from the inside. So when Psychic Source reached out to partner with me in this channel, I wanted to say yes immediately for all of you, because I get it. And I know the difference between a platform that takes this seriously and one that doesn't. Psychic Source has been around for over 30 years. They screen every single advisor on their platform. These are not random people on the internet. These are vetted, reviewed psychics, and they offer readings by phone, by chat, or by video, whatever feels right for you. And they have a satisfaction guarantee, which I love, because that tells you something about how seriously they take the integrity of their readers. If you've been sitting with something, a relationship, a decision, a loss, or something you just can't shake, I think it's worth having someone tap in with you. New members get readings starting as low as 60 cents a minute. And since you pay by the minute, you decide how long to chat based on your budget. No pressure, no packages, no waiting for answers either. Get help immediately by clicking on the link below. Try psychicsource.com/motive.means and let me know if you get a hit that blows your mind, because I generally want to hear about it. Okay, thanks for listening. Let's get back to Nancy Guthrie.
Authorities asked neighbors to check their camera footage in the month leading up to Nancy's disappearance. Neighbor Aldine Meister called them back right away.
So this is my window that I'm getting ready in the morning, and I saw him out there. So I couldn't make out his face. He was in kind of street clothes, not shoes that you'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit.
That was on January 11th, the same.
I'm going to go back and replay it because it's really important. But did you hear neighbor Alan Meister says, Mrs. Meister, that was on January 11th. And Brian Anton chimes in and says, the same day we later learned that this photo of what appears to be the masked suspect on Nancy's front doorstep weeks before her kidnapping, January 11th, he was there. He was watching. I'm going to replay it, and then I'm going to show you what January 11th means in the Wiccan tradition. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's watch again from the full clip.
Authorities asked neighbors to check their camera footage in the month leading up to Nancy's disappearance. Neighbor Aldine Meister called them back right away.
So this is my window that I'm getting ready in the morning, and I saw him out there. So I couldn't make out his face. He was in kind of street clothes, not shoes that you'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit.
That was on January 11th, the same day we later learned as this photo of what appears to be the same masked suspect on Nancy's front doorstep weeks before her kidnapping.
I told the FBI the day after they came here, and I discussed that with them. Yep.
What was it like when the FBI came?
Wow. Okay. Okay, Aldine, you've got our attention. Now let's go see what it actually means. Well. You're going to be so interested to hear what the January 11th date means in Wiccan tradition. Well, it's the New Age Wiccan circles. Let me just clarify. So let's just read to you what I've researched here. While traditional Wicca doesn't recognize January 11th, modern digital witchcraft, New Age circles, and online practitioners treat January 11th as an incredibly important energetic date. The 111 manifestation protocol articles and viral guides on platforms like Instagram and Facebook metaphysical pages heavily cover the 10 witchy things to do on January 11th and how to utilize the 111 spiritual portal. The meaning? Wow. In modern intuitive witchcraft, January 11th blends the energy of 1 for new beginnings and fresh cycles, and 11 is spiritual insight, subconscious drive. It is widely publicized online, wait for it, as the day for activation magic. January 11th equals activating magic and moving a secret plan from your mind into physical effing reality. Online theorists twisted this, claiming a stalker used the 11 portal to initiate his dark plan. Yeah, isn't that what it just says? It says activation magic, moving a secret plan from your mind into physical reality. What the dang? That's what the January 11th meaning is in the modern New Age Wiccan traditions. Let's just keep reading. Historical pagan calendars. When we're looking into the older polytheistic paths that modern Wiccans sometimes draw from January 11th, that date appears on historical calendars. The Gamaliel Numenia, an archival pagan documentation sites like Witches of the Craft, January 11th marks the Gamaliel Numenia, an ancient Greek festival dedicated to honoring all gods and goddesses with indoor offerings, incense, and hearth fire. The burning of the clavi, prominent Wiccan publications like the Wicked Read have extensively documented January 11th folklore, specifically the burning of the clavi in Scotland. This is the ancient fire ritual where a barrel is burned to cast out evil spirits from the old year so clean spirits can enter. Wow. Well, isn't that crazy? So we heard it here. And again, Sheriff Nanos announced that the FBI found digital evidence at Nancy Guthrie's home on January 11th. Okay. And so while it's not necessarily the older traditional Wiccan holiday as far as relevance goes, it is seen as a new modern online New Age, if you will, Wiccan holiday that celebrates the January 11th, the 111, is a powerful manifestation portal, a day to physically initiate major secret life plans. Did a calculating stalker deliberately choose the 111 portal to set his plan into motion or their plan into motion? Or was that just a coincidence? What do you think? Let's move on now to January 24th. Don't forget, I'm going to come to you with some remote viewing here after we go through these 3 dates. Okay, let's listen in to News Nation's reporting of these 3 dates.
Hi there, I'm Natasha Zubes. This is the truth of the matter. The FBI is honing in on key dates in the Nancy Guthrie case. Investigators now asking the public to focus on several specific dates: January 11th, January 24th, and the early morning hours of February 1st, raising new questions about whether the person responsible may have been near her home before she vanished.
Or whether they were Wiccan.
There was planning or any digital or biological evidence left behind. I spoke with Mark Garagos. He's a renowned defense attorney known for representing everyone from Sean P. Diddy Combs to Michael Jackson to the Menendez brothers. He's been closely tracking the Guthrie case. This is what he told me.
I think what they've done here, if I had to guess, is they have located some geo tracking type evidence that suggests that a similar somebody who was in the area weeks before and then 8 days before also corresponds to the night before.
Weeks stretching on and nothing but agony for Savannah and the Guthrie family, continuously asking the public for their help and not to forget.
Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. We need to know where she is. We need her to come home. It is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. We are in agony. It is unbearable.
Another potential key, investigative genetic genealogy, the technology used to find Brian Kohberger and identify the Golden State Killer. A woman at the forefront of this technique believes it's simply a matter of time before genetic genealogy solves the Guthrie case, and that there can be lessons learned from one of her previous cases, that of 12-year-old Michelle Welch. In 1986, she took her 2 little sisters to a park to play in Tacoma, Washington. She left them briefly to make them sandwiches. Her sisters found a restroom, and when they came back, Michelle's bike was there, the lunches were there, Michelle was not. That night, searchers found her body. The 6th grader had been sexually assaulted and murdered. The case went cold for decades. No one knew who killed her. That was until over 30 years later, police hired Cece Moore, who solved the crime within hours. Yes, hours, using investigative genetic genealogy. She used a DNA sample from the crime scene to build a family tree, which led her to the killer. Gary Hartman, a psych ward nurse married to a psychologist, still living in that same area where he took Michelle's life. The confirmation coming after detectives tailed him, getting his DNA from a brown paper napkin at a restaurant.
Okay, let's find out what the meaning in the pagan Wiccan tradition is on January, in the world of witchcraft, January 24th. I don't know how to pronounce this, so forgive me to anybody out there who may be Wiccan. It's the festival of Sementive. January 24th is the festival of Sementive, which is a planting festival that honors Ceres and Tellus. Ceres, of course, is the Roman grain goddess, and Tellus the earth itself. The festival was held in 2 parts. The first part was held from January 24th to January 26th, honoring Tellus, and was a season of sowing the fields. The second part, which began the week later on February 2nd, honored Ceres as the goddess of agriculture. the Ceres and the Roman variant Demeter, who is strongly tied with changing of the seasons. The whole celebration centered around praying for a good harvest in the coming season. After all, if you're planting in the spring, you want to make sure crops were going to be abundant later in the year. Normal business was put on hold for a day while everybody prayed, rituals were held, and most Romans went out of their way to make sure that Ceres was pleased and would bless the community with a bountiful grain harvest. Remember, in ancient Rome, much of life was tied to the agricultural cycles. If you didn't have grain, you didn't have bread. That meant hundreds of thousands of people were at risk of starvation. In fact, during a particularly heinous famine around 496 BC, priests figured out that Ceres should probably have a temple. So one was built on the Aventine, and it became a hub of religious activity. The discovery of wheat or spelt was attributed to Ceres, but she also got credit for a number of other agricultural discoveries, including the idea that oxen could be yoked to a plow to make sowing a lot more efficient. She was known to have the power of fertility, both in crops and for livestock. So each year at her festival, she was presented with offerings of spelt and a pregnant sow. Ceres also had another festival later in the spring called Cerilia, which involved games, theatricals, and a ton of religious observations. So that one's not quite so sinister as plotting for secret plans, but it's planning to receive something abundant. Okay, I've got two clips here about January 24th, or two articles, if you will, that I'll read you regarding January 24th. Okay, the witch's correspondence for Thursday, January 24th. Magical intentions include luck, happiness, health, legal matters. We know the A&T team have arrears on their property for their homes, taxes, male fertility, treasure, and wealth. It's about honor, riches, clothing desires, leadership, public activity, power, and success. Incense that they would use would be cinnamon, musk, nutmeg, and sage. The planet is Jupiter. Sagittarius and Pisces are the signs associated with this day. The angels Sachiel, the colors are purple, royal blue, and indigo. Herb plants, cinnamon, beech, buttercup, colts, foot, oak, stones, sulfate, amethyst, turquoise, lapis lazuli, and sapphire. And the oil they would use would be clove, lemon balm, oak moss, and star anise. Let's just go and see what the other article says on this date before we get to the all-important February 1st. So, January 24th is significant. Modern Wicca beliefs heavily syncs with ancient Roman, Celtic, and Norse practices, and many Wiccans incorporate the date of January 24th into their personal spiritual paths. It marks the start of the Roman festive of sowing, which is called Sementive, which is the ancient Roman agricultural festival, which begins on January 24th. It honors the earth goddess Tellus or Terra and the grain goddess Ceres. Wiccans who practice a more agricultural or reconstructionist path use this date to bless seeds, map out springtime gardens, and set intentions for personal growth. According to the Celtic tree calendar used by many Wiccans, January 24th falls within the Roman moon, which runs from January 21st to February 17th. And the Roman moon tree represents energetic protection, psychic awareness, and success. And Thorobult in Norse paganism, heathenry, January 24th, particularly and frequently marks the beginning of Thorobult, a midwinter feast honoring the god of Thor. Eclectic Wiccans who work with the Norse pantheon utilize this period to honor strength and weather magic. Yeah. So those are interesting. Now let's get into specifically February 1st, and the date Nancy went missing. Okay, first let's just recap. Okay. The sowing date, January 24th, was the ancient festival of Ceres, honoring seeds and working underground in the winter, hidden, patient, invisible preparation. In witchcraft, the magic worked below the surface. The most powerful work happens unseen. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Isn't that interesting? Now let's watch what the February 1st embolic, the night she was taken, means. I don't know, y'all. Is this a coincidence? Do you think it's a coincidence? Now, remember when I told you in my remote viewing, I'll see if I can go get the clip, where I said there was a meaning behind those bushes on the camera. I felt there was a meaning. And I said, I thought it was like something about like when he slaps his hand, like a punishment for pulling weeds. But apparently it was more about the Wiccan belief system here. Just that's what I'm thinking now. I felt something was intuitive. Intuitively, I felt something was up with those weeds. I said it. And what do you think? What do you think? Is it just a coincidence these 3 dates are relevant? Or is there more to it? Because I know others have been studying the poetry of the A and T team, well, the A team, and it's very dark. Macabre was the word used. Or macabre, is that the word? Dark, sadistic, eerie. Now, I'm not so sure about that. You can go to Monk's Intrigue to look into that a little bit more deeply, but I just find the fact that I knew something was relevant with those weeds and I said it, and then now I'm learning of these Wiccan dates that are the same 3 dates the police have asked us to look out for evidence within. It just seems way too coincidental to not be relevant in this case.
The timeline investigators believe is this. On the evening of January 31st, 5:32 p.m., Nancy traveled by Uber to her daughter Annie's house about 4 miles away. 9:48 p.m., a family member drove Nancy home. The garage door opens. 2 minutes later, the garage door closed. At 1:47 a.m., Nancy's doorbell camera disconnected. Then at 2:12 a.m., the doorbell camera software detected a person on camera. 16 minutes later, at 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker app showed the device disconnected from her phone. By 11:56 a.m. that morning, February 1st, Nancy's family checks on her after learning she didn't show up to a gathering with her friends to watch a church service. They called 911 7 minutes later.
Now, while Brian Enton reported 11:56, the family got to Nancy's home. We've already discussed, which the interview room, Chris McDonough firmly believes and shows that they actually arrived at 11. So I've talked about that in a remote viewing, what happened in that missing hour. But I'm going to go back and show you a couple of clips of remote viewings that I did, and then we're going to get to this blow your mind January or February 1st Wicca tradition. Wow, 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 wow. So this is a prior remote viewing that I did on the Nancy Guthrie case. It's a little blurry, but listen for a few minutes here, just 3 minutes. House, because I think that door, when I see their vision go to that door, is the patio door where they may have propped up the pots. So now I'm going to go back in a remote view and see if that is the door, because I can see their attention going, and then I lose the remote viewing. Like I said, I have trained in remote viewing years ago, and had really fallen out of practice. So I'm really getting back into practicing, and I'm able to hold, which I believe is pretty common actually, a remote viewing session for just a split seconds, like a finite amount of time. And so now I'm going to go back in and ask for what happens as they're looking at that door inside the garage, what I believe is the metal door that looks like lights, like daylight under it. Is that the door that goes to the outside porch where that door was propped with the pots? Okay, So we've since learned that that does not go outside, but I do want to find out what's behind that door because there's some attention going to that door. The energy is very important on that door inside the garage. But listen to the part where I talk about the pots here. Let's listen in. I have a feeling when they went back that morning, they staged the bed to make it look like she had been taken from her bed, her slippers there, whatever had fallen on the floor was picked up. Let's see if I can get a vision of that. And then I believe, my friends, they staged the pots. But let me go back in and verify that and come back. Okay, so I just went back in and asked for the same information like at 11 a.m. when the A&T team arrived. And I see exactly the same thing when they first come in. It's like, okay, what are we going to do here? I see them go into the garage. At this time, I just see a black glove being put on a hand and the hand stretching, almost like a surgeon putting his glove on and then stretching it when it, like, he lets it go, like, and it snaps. I see that. I don't see whose hand. I get goosebumps. I feel like it's the TT part of the team, but they both are wearing black gloves. Oh, got goosebumps again. Can you see? Those are my validations when I get body goosebumps. Like, ooh, I don't know if you can see. Okay. Oh, I do see. Oh, it's just, I do see. They pick up what had fallen is Nancy's cell phone. When she first goes into that, through the kitchen, turning the lamp on, and sees that mask. I see she had her purse sort of looped over her arm and her cell phone in her hand, and I see, and her cell phone falls. So that is picked up. Then we're in the bedroom where the A part of the team lifts like the blankets to make it look and places slippers like she was removed from her bed. And I see them focused on that door. And yes, boys and girls, pretty sure I see two of them. Like, I can't see the pot, but I can see two people like lifting and placing something, but I cannot see the pot specifically. But I can see the lifting and the placing of a pot by the door there, by that garage, that back patio door that was propped open. So yeah, I was really curious, and I was thinking, holy crap, when I was watching the interview room and Chris went back and he was highlighting, and we were all watching. Yeah. Sheriff Nano said 11 originally backtracked it to protect the family or not. We're going to talk about that next because I have thoughts on that. And then I thought, man, what happened in that missing hour? Just my opinions, just my remote viewing sessions. Okay, what happened in that hour? Y'all, I knew there was some part of it that was staged, but placing the pots to prop open the back doors happened the next morning. And y'all, one of you did the research on the meaning in Wicca of opening the back doors. Y'all, let's go. So in my last video, I kind of stumbled into this Wiccan thing and said we were going to do a more deep dive. And then after I posted that video, y'all, wow. Thank you to a shout out to On the Hill 3381 because she posted, I researched the February 1st Imbolde Wiccan holiday. Part of the ritual is to open your back doors to let old energy out, cleaning your home and exiting out the front door. Wow. I also did some remote viewing where I saw them take her out the front door in a wheelchair. So let's go back into the meaning in Wiccan, the Wiccan tradition, the spiritual holiday of witchcrafts, witchery, and what the February 1st means around back doors being propped open. Well. The official great Sabbater, okay, is the midway point, the February 1st, the dark inversion, okay? The great Sabbater. This is where the official great Sabbath, the midpoint between winter and solstice, and the spring equinox, one of the most sacred dates in the Wiccan wheel of the year, February 1st. Imbolc means in the belly, which is the first stirrings of new life. The goddess Bridget, the healer, the protector of the earth. Okay. Wow. Let's watch.
An involved tradition of opening all the doors in the home and the windows and standing at the doorway to receive Bridget's blessings. If you live near a sacred well, you can visit and leave an offering. I have prepared a symbolic ritual with a glass of water instead that we can do at home. You can find it below the video. Another kind of offering would be an artistic offering. So Imbolc is a good time to make crafts that have a connection with divinity. I found these rushes and made a Bridget's cross. The cross.
Okay, just a really brief clip. Let's look for more to show what the belief is around keeping the doors open or opening the doors and leaving out the front. Don't forget to stick around because I'm going to do a new remote viewing session in a minute, but I want to also show you what the heck this February 1st date is really quite significant. And I really want to say thank you to On the Hill 3381 for bringing this to my attention. But let's get into, wow, what it means before I do my new remote viewing session. So, Wiccan belief around the opening of back doors on February 1st, I ask. In Wiccan and Celtic pagan traditions, February 1st marks the Imbolc or Candlemas, celebrating the return of light and the first stirrings of spring. Opening a back door on this day stems from ancient folklore, symbolizing the ritual release of the past year's stagnant energy. Specific details on this practice include the ritual opening the back door or window allows the old year and any lingering negative energy to leave the home. Welcoming the new, practitioners will open the front door immediately afterwards to invite the fresh, renewing energy of the coming spring. Well, I said I believe they came in the back door, which I still believe, but I don't know that they propped the pots open yet. I think that was done the next day. Could be wrong, but let's just keep reading. The association with Bridget. The day is sacred to the Celtic goddess Bridget, protector of the earth. The door opening act is often paired with leaving a cloth or a ribbon outside overnight, known as the Brat Bride, for Bridget to bless the healing as she passes. Blessing, healing as she passes. You know that blue shirt of Nancy's we saw? We're assuming that that was left by the police, and I really still think that's the case. But, it begs the question, was there, a cloth of Nancy's left outside to bless the healing as she passes? For Wiccans, Imbolc is generally a time of deep spring cleaning and purification and planting the mental seeds for future intentions. Well, we saw that. I asked for more details. The practice of opening doors during Imbolc blends modern Wiccan witchcraft. We've seen this again, modern, New Age Wiccan witchcraft with centuries-old Irish and Celtic folklore. In energy magic, doorways and thresholds act as liminal spaces, gateways between the physical and spiritual worlds, making them highly powerful during seasonal shifts. Oh, it keeps getting more interesting. Don't you leave now. The threshold ritual step by step. Wiccans and traditional pagans use a specific sequence to clear winter staleness and welcome spring. The back door open releases winter's stagnant energy and the old year, and the front door open welcomes Bridget, fresh spring light, and the new year. Banishing winter, the back door, practitioners open the back door or a rear window first. This physical act creates the exit past for the old and any negative energy, grief, or stagnation accumulated during the dark winter months. Inviting renewal, the front door immediately after the front door is thrown open, and this invites the new year, new opportunities, and the returning light of the sun. Listen to this, boys and girls, because you're going to, wow. The threshold sweep to the entrance. Many perform a ritual sweep using a ritual broom, rather. They physically and energetically sweep dust and negativity out through the back door before sealing it. Well, listen, we know they didn't have a broom there. And boy, that would have been super obvious. But I ask about the weeds that look like, as I said, I felt there was a significance of those weeds. Y'all, do you want to hear what it says about the weeds in front of the camera? Let me just read this first. The role of the goddess Bridget on Imbolc Eve, January 31st, the Celtic goddess Bridget is said to walk the earth, bringing the warmth to melt the frost. Doors are left unlatched or opened to ensure she can enter freely to bless the home. Wiccans include several companion traditions alongside this. Was somebody making sure that the door was left unlocked? I don't really know, but the bed of Bridget, a small doll made of oats, corn or oats, is placed in a small basket near the hearth or the door. Practitioners invite her by chanting, Bridget come, Bridget is welcome. A small token of hospitality, such as a small bowl of milk, buttered bread, or cake, is left by the door or window to thank her for protection. Bridget's mantle, a piece of cloth or ribbon or scarf, is hung outside on the door frame or a nearby tree overnight. As Bridget passes, she touches the fabric, infusing with magical healing and protective energy used throughout the year. Or window and doors, other window and door safeguards. Because Imbolc is a threshold holiday, protecting the newly cleansed home is vital. Wiccans secure their entryways using traditional symbols. Bridget's crosses woven from rushes, reeds, or straw. These unique four-armed crosses are hung directly above the door and back doors. They're left in place all year to shield the household from house fires, illnesses, and evil spirits. Roman and twine, twigs of Roman wood tied together with red thread are sometimes hung over thresholds as a protective charm against malicious spirits. Well, I asked, what about waving flowered weeds at the front door of the house February 1st? Because we know they didn't sweep. We know they didn't come in with a broom. I mean, clearly the symbolism is a little bit more secretive here as we are exploring. But the answer from AI is waving flowered weeds or early wildflowers at the front door on February 1st is a ritual of purification, protection, and fertility. In Wiccan and broader Celtic customs, this act uses the specific seasonal properties of early flora to physically brush away the energetic remnants of winter and sweep the blessings of spring. While it shares the same intent as opening the doors, the specific practice carries unique magical symbolism. The power of the first bloom. In February, the only plants blooming are hardy, resilient wild species, often classified as weeds or wild hedge growths such as gorse, primrose, or dandelions, and Wiccans view these first responders of nature as highly magical because they possess the raw strength required to break through the frozen ground. Waving them at the threshold literally broadcasts the vibration of survival and reawakening into the house. 2, seining and asperging the threshold. The motion of waving or shaking plants at the front door serves 2 primary ritual purposes. Energetic cleansing, waving the stalks in a sweeping or brushing motion mimics the use of traditional broom or besom. It acts as a fan to break up the dense, stagnant air and lingering negativity before it enters the living space. Asperging, often these wildflowers are dipped into salted water, moon water, or early morning dew first. Shaking them at the front door sprays the fine droplets into the threshold, a classic purification technique known as asperging. Inviting the sun and the fae. Yellow symbolism. Many of the early wild weeds that emerge around Imbolc bear bright yellow flowers like gorse or wild primroses. Waving these yellow blossoms at the front door acts as a sympathetic magic ritual to mirror and attract the growing heat of the sun. In the fairy folklore, a traditional and Irish and Scottish folklore, placing or weaving primroses and early wildflowers at their threshold was a direct way to honor the good neighbors or fairies. This ensured they would bless the household with abundance rather than playing tricks on the family as the seasons changed. And note on the regional overlap, be careful not to confuse this entirely with Beltane, May 1st, while waving or hanging the yellow mayflowers, marigolds, and primroses at the front door, as that defines the hallmark of the May Eve. No, well, we know this happened February 1st. Y'all, I forgot to show you. So there you go. What about waving the flowers and the weeds at the front door? Wow, wow, wow. Holy wow. Okay, now I'm going to get into my remote viewing, my new one. But I first want to remind you that I did this viewing of Nanos. Let me show you. And I've discovered what it meant and what it means and what he's hiding from the FBI. And then I'm going to do my new remote viewing session. So hang on. So when I tap in to why Nanos was so upset on this information being shared, I get lies, I get secrets, I get a vision of a safe behind a bookshelf. And I thought, in his work office? No, it looks like it's home office, his home office. I see, I got goosebumps. I get a manila, thank you for the validation, home office. I get, there's a safe behind a bookshelf that's got a manila envelope in it with several cassettes. Got goosebumps. So when I go back in and I ask, like, I can just see him putting it in this vanilla envelope with tapes inside the safe. And I can see two people sitting in chairs, not in that office, but in his work office. And I believe them to be the A&T team. And I believe he interviewed them at the onset in private, in secret, because I hear secret. And I believe he taped the interview of them in secret. And those tapes are hidden in his home office in a safe. Okay, y'all. Well, I have never been polygraphed, and I saw these little cassette tapes to be this size. Y'all, he is effing hiding the polygraph. He is keeping the polygraph results from the FBI. Y'all, I would just love to talk to the FBI to show that this is true. But look at polygraph tapes. I've never been polygraphed. I didn't know what the size of the tapes look like. There, let me show you. I just pulled it up. Holy smokes. This is what I saw. I said cassettes, polygraph tape recording tapes. So they look like little mini cassettes, like tapes. Well, holy shit. Oh, I forgot to bring it up. Let me show you. That's what he's hiding. He's literally hiding the polygraph test results from the A&T team. Why is he hiding it? Because he's an arrogant effing ass who wants to solely be responsible for solving this case. And I believe he's lying. I don't believe they passed the test. I don't believe they passed the test. Okay, I'm going to go into a remote viewing session now. I don't know what we're going to see here because I said at the very beginning, I'm going to ask what I need to see in this case that I don't yet know about, that we need to know about. And I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes with what I see. Let's go. Well, holy crap. So I go into my remote viewing, and you're supposed to identify a location. And so normally I would say Nancy Guthrie's home, and I said whatever I need to see or hear, and I'm here Annie and Tommaso's home the night before. Oh my God, I got goosebumps. So I remote view when I specifically say I want to see the A&T's team's home the night before. And I see Nancy coming in by Uber, and I see Annie coming out to get her and greet her and holding her by her arms. They couldn't go pick her up because they had a visitor at their home, y'all. And I get a visual for the very first time. I just saw the mastermind behind this, the gentleman to which I believe they owed money to, particularly Tommaso. I believe he had a drug issue and a gambling issue and debts. And I wish I had a lineup with police suspects or an artist's rendition, somebody that could draw me that face that I just saw, because I saw it very, very clearly just now. Nancy walks into the home. Their grandson is there. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I don't think he's there for very long, though. He's probably sent somewhere or if he wasn't, I don't see that in this viewing. I'm going to go back in and see if I can get more. I don't see where he is, other than he greets them. But there's a gentleman in all black, a black shirt, like a dress shirt, and black pants. And he's got big, curly, dark hair, wavy, a thin, like, face. Oh, I got goosebumps. And I believe him to be the one that orchestrated this plan, where they, in this evening the night before, he addresses that Nancy is asked, and he addresses the fact that there's debts owed and she needs to repay them. I hear her specifically say, Annie, I don't have the money you think I have. Okay, I'm going to go back in and see what else is said. But there is a conversation there that night, and there was somebody at that house, other than Nancy, other than Annie, other than Tommaso, other than their son, who I believe would be called the chef, the mastermind behind this, the gentleman money was owed to. I'm going to go back in and see what else I can get again. Okay. I hear him say to Nancy, I'm only going to ask you nicely one more time. And this, I believe, God willing, the FBI ever listen to me and follow me, I believe this to be really important for the FBI, because I think it's a Porsche. I'm going to go look for the emblems now. I'm shown the emblem, and I'm see the number 4. I'm shown the number 4. He specifically shows up with his car. They need to go look for surveillance at 4 p.m. And he parks this, if this is Annie and Tommaso's, and to my left, if I'm looking at their house, is the ravine. There's a stop sign. They're right on the corner. So their house is sort of where my finger's touching my wrist. And the ravine is where you see Motive.Means.Opportunity. Let's move their house here. He's parked right where my finger is, like by my nose. He's parked on the street that is behind their house, on the side near where the ravine is. I hear it's a black car. It's a very high-end car. I believe it's a Porsche, but I'm going to go look now. It's totally black, and I hear him click, click, click. At 4 o'clock, I see him put his phone in his back pocket and walk towards their home. I'm going to go look for the emblem now. Yes, I specifically see his all black sports high-end Porsche. It's a Porsche. He drives a Porsche, very high-end Porsche, all black. 4 o'clock, they need to go look for surveillance because there was a meeting the night before where Miss Nancy was specifically asked to give money to the A&T team to repay the debts they owed this man driving the black Porsche with the big furry head. No, y'all, don't tell me it's, the bandmates and all that, and it's not Luke Daly. It's nobody we have seen before. This guy has got a full head of hair and it's curly, and he's not so big himself. He's a little on the thinly side. He's got a pointy nose and jawline, but his hair is pretty wavy, dark brown, maybe almost black. Y'all, thank you for being here. Do all the YouTube things. I want to also just touch base next on Lynette Hooker. Carly said she hoped they went to Snapper Point Marina, where I visually remote view and see Brian placing Lynette. Now they're at another marina south of March Harbor, an old abandoned marina that also has a dock. That's where they were last viewing. I don't know if they're going to get to Snapper Marina, but I really hope so. Anyways, everybody, thank you for being here. If you stayed to the end, love and light. We'll see you in the next one. Do all the YouTube things, please. I need you to help me out here. Help a girl out. Thank you. Love and light.